You've heard it said, preach the gospel at all times, when necessary use words. Though that's grammatically and theologically impossible, we would probably say, preach the gospel at all times, and when necessary, use amplification. Hi everyone, Jason Saw with Appalachian Cry Ministries, and I want to take a minute of your time or a few minutes to talk to you about how to use amplification without being a jerk.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Yes, I have to say it that way because many folks, brothers, some I dearly love, just don't get it. And so let's talk about that for a moment. There's 4 things I'm going to bring to your attention when regarding sound amplification. The first is, why do we use it? How is it a hindrance? How can we use it for the glory of God? And some strategies. So why do we use amplification? Well, we use amplification to get our voice out to the crowd, to be heard, to save our voice so that we don't have to wear ourselves out, and to preach to those around us. Now, in saying that, we want to reach as many people as possible, of course. Go to the highways and to the hedges. Preach the gospel to all the world. Absolutely. But in a practical application, we want to engage those around us. And you're not going to engage somebody 3 miles away, 2 miles away, or whatever it may be. And that's exaggeration. And so that's the idea of why we use amplification. Now, how is it a hindrance? Well, amplification can be a hindrance for a couple ways. Primarily is just running it absolutely too loud.
So, I'm going to talk about Jesus.
Hallelujah!
That's too loud.
There's many events that are well put together. There are some, we don't want to unnecessarily offend. If anybody's going to get offended, let's let them get offended at the gospel message. Because if they're offended at the gospel, then they're offended at Jesus, and Jesus can save them. The gospel message is offensive, and it should be offensive. It's a scandalous message. But in saying that, we don't want to be the reason why they're offended because of something we're doing that's just making it harder for us to do what we've been called to do. And so turning it up loud, placing it in a way that is just inappropriate. I think of a dear brother in Christ I look up to, I respect. We were at a big event. He turned a hailer up on top of a tripod right at people coming off a public transit system, and they come off of it and just bam, are blasted in the face with sound. And before they even could realize what was being said, they were turned off. And so we don't want to do that. And then we're going to get some strategies on how to do that. But it can be a hindrance, and we don't want to do it. The other reason why is, some events, some bigger events that are well thought out and put together by solid ministries work with law enforcement ahead of time, secure permits and whatever we need to preach the gospel. Yes, we have our constitutional rights, but we try to be peaceable and work with authorities. And when somebody comes, whether it's a veteran or a newbie, and just, wants to just bypass what the ministry leader has put forth as far as restrictions and guidance and just crank it up, you could ruin the experience for everybody. You could get shut down before you even get started. So we don't want to do that either. So that's how it can be a hindrance to you. Now, it can be used to the glory of God by getting the voice out. The last point has to do with strategies. Now, when you're thinking strategies, we want to use what's appropriate. I think of the old adage, you don't want to remove a fly from your friend's forehead with an axe. And so we want to be mindful of our environment and what is needed, right? And so the first device I want to show you real quick is these are called Akers. There's many different versions. I like the actual brand Aker. I know there's a lot of Chinese knockoffs and so forth, but this is the Aker 2300. This is my go-to daily amplification device. Some guys wear it like down around on their neck right here. I usually have a GoPro right here, and I don't want it that close, and so I usually wear it down on my belt. But this device can be heard through a couple blocks downtown, and not because it's so loud, but just because it bounces off the buildings going down through. It's crisp, it's clear. It's rated at 20 watts and does the job. This is the go-to one that I use most frequently. As a side note, guys, I love you, my fellow street preachers. Turn the echo off. It sounds absolutely silly. Please turn the echo off. Anyway, these come with an echo on it. I don't know why, so this is a go-to device I use every day. It does a really good job. It's good for smaller events and so forth where you not a lot of ambient noise. Now, In saying all this, you're saying, well, aren't you contradicting what you just said? You just said you don't want to be blasted. Well, no, not at all. You want to be heard, as I just said, the ambient noise. Now, on certain events like the Super Bowl or football games and so forth, we bring out this guy, which is known as the half-mile hailer. That's what it's called. Made by Amplivox, and I'll have a video, links to the stuff I'm talking about down below. I'm not getting paid for it, no endorsements or anything, but unless Amplivox, if you're listening. But anyway, the guys at Amplivox are really cool. I've called, they'll talk to you on the phone. And anyway, something like this can be used, but with greater responsibility comes, greater power comes greater responsibility. This is that. In a live version of that, because you can use this and really hurt people's ears. It's called a half-mile hailer for a reason. It'll travel a half mile, absolutely, but it has a volume knob. You can control it. But with this right here, I'm going to show you here, give you an example and demonstrate how you can set this up and use it to the glory of God and not as a hindrance. Take a look.
So as you can see in this setup here that we are using with the hailer is down below, so it's not up at eye level with anybody and in their face, and so I could actually have a conversation with somebody that is walking by without being in their face and blasting it. One of the worst things we can do is take these devices, whether it's the hailer, the Roland Q. I know we have our sound preferences with each one, but the thing is, as you can hear now, I can talk now, and I don't have the hailer up very loud. The camera is about 15, 20 feet away roughly, and I'll do a longer one here in a moment. But if you put it down below here, it's at the feet, and as you'll see here in a minute, the sound carries along the ground, and it can be heard from many places away. I'm out here where I live, and I can hear the echo throughout the entire woods, and this only turned up and maybe not even halfway, and I'm using my regular voice. I'm not even using a preaching voice, which you would use more unction and be a little louder, and I wouldn't do that. So this is one example. I wanted to show you an up-close view. As you can see here, I'm now about probably a little over 30 yards away from the camera, and that's close to 100 feet, 90 feet, right? And so I'm that far away, and you can still probably hear me clearly. You are within distance to where if you were a passerby, you could see me, and I'm still getting the sound out without blasting in anybody's face. And what I want you to notice here is, even though this is grass and there's woods and things around, the hailer is only about little over halfway up. It's not fully turned up. About 1 o'clock is where the volume knob is set. But also the ground, now concrete, where we preach in football stadiums and so forth, concrete in fairs and festivals will resonate. It'll bounce off there. But it'll follow the sound down along the ground. Even right now in grass, you can probably still hear me pretty clearly. And I'm over top of grass and leaves and things that will absorb the sound. So even at this distance, at a lower volume, you still have clarity, and I'm still speaking in a normal tone of voice. Now I can even raise my voice a little bit and with some inflection in my tone, but you can still get a nice, crisp, clear sound without blasting and blowing windows off the people that are around you. And then if somebody would want to walk by me, they could walk by and talk. And you can even pull your microphone away from your mouth, or you can put it back up and continue talking. If it's a conversation where they're asking things about your preaching, you can reiterate the question. Does Jesus know everything? Yes, Jesus knows. The question is, does Jesus know everything? So stuff like that, you can read people. What I want you to see here is you can clearly hear this sound without the hailer being turned up to an obnoxious volume, and without being at a height level where at this range it'll pierce somebody's ear. And so you can use this hailer as your advantage rather than your disadvantage.
All right, we're back. And so I hope that demonstration was helpful to you, maybe give you some ideas of how you can be creative. We use that setup quite often at West Virginia University football games. There's a place in the Blue Lot, there's just all kinds of ambient noise from sound systems. A lot of the RVs there, the tailgate, bring small band PA systems. So we need something like that, and I found that we set it up, especially on concrete, it'll just travel right along the ground. Doesn't blast people in the face. You can be heard. You can have conversations. It's a good way to get the sound out. So I hope this video has been helpful to you, give you some things to think about. I'd love to hear your comments, questions, gripes, complaints. You can drop them to us at appalachiacry@gmail.com or hit us up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/appalachiacry, or leave your comment down below. Thanks. God bless. God be with you, and God go before you wherever you may be serving Him today. Take care.